anything we do in life should be done with a certain amount of planning, preparation, and organization. Research is no different. In this video, I, Dr. Mariam Narona, will be taking you through the concept of research design and the basics of it. Let's start by considering what is research design. So, research design basically is the conceptual framework within which you carry out your research. It's a plan, it's a broad set of guidelines which you determine and within which you work to carry out your research. So, it's basically like a blueprint for how you're going to collect data, how will you measure it, and how will you analyze and interpret data. Research design comprises certain decisions, and as a researcher, you will have to decide what is the essence of your study, what is the core of your study, what do you hope to establish and achieve with your study. So, supposing you are carrying out research in the context of the COVID-19 crisis, you could be studying, human resource practices in a company or in an organization, or you could be doing research in a lab to develop a vaccine. Both are research, and but each one has its own different impact. So if you're studying the HR practices in a certain company or in a certain industry, you will impact or benefit that industry. But if you're developing a vaccine, you're going to impact humanity. So the essence of your study, what is the essence of your study, the why and where of your study, where are you going to carry out your study? Is it local study? Is it a national or a global study? Why are you carrying it out? Obviously, what is your motivation apart from your self actualization or career advancement? How do you want people to benefit from your study? What sort of a difference do you want to make with your study? That should be the one of the factors which you have to consider in research design. Then the context, uh, in terms of the period to be covered of the study. Also, when I say context, so right now if you're carrying out how online learning, the problems and prospects of online learning, in a world where there was no coronavirus crisis, and now where there is a crisis, obviously it would be different. Then the period to be covered, so you could have a before and after analysis of something if you're studying a particular phenomena, event, or occurrence. A patient's response to treatment after chemo or radiation was introduced. You have this could be also a period, an example of a period in which you carry out the study, or you do an analysis, a trend analysis over 4 decades. So every 10 years you divide into one phase and you analyze that. Then type of data and sources. What type of data? Like I mentioned in the video on data collection. So broadly, primary data, secondary data. How will you collect? What is going to be your source of collection of data? Will you carry out a survey? Will you administer a questionnaire? Will you carry out an email survey, or an interview or a panel discussion? Is your data going to be quantitative? Is it qualitative? That is, is it opinions, likes, dislikes, which are difficult to measure, or is it just numbers and stats which are easier to measure? Then analysis. How are you going to analyze data? Of course, today we have a lot of software available at our disposal, but finally we have to interpret. So for your data analysis, which types of tests and all you are going to use, statistical tests, that would be a decision which you have to make. And how are you going to write your report? What is going to be the style of your report? Is it going to be formal or is it going to be informal? So when you're doing research out of your own interest, you may write it informally. But if you are like if you're going to write a column in a newspaper and you've done some research, it could be informal. But if you are going to present your research findings in the form of a thesis, then it would be formal, because you would have to be bound by the university or organization which is asking you for that particular information in that particular format. The main elements of research design are sampling design, observational design, statistical design, and operational design. A sampling design is many a time it's impractical for you to study everything that needs to be studied on a topic. Like a census survey is not possible for everyone. That is, a study will always have a universe, that is all the elements which you need to study or units which you need to study would be on that. It's like all the stars in the sky, impossible to study that. So you would have to pick out a sample. You would have to determine whether you're going to use probability sampling or non-probability sampling. You're going to use your own judgment, or you're going to give every member of the universe an equal opportunity to be included in the sample. So these are some decisions which you will have to take. Observational design, that is, how are you going to observe the the sample, or how are you going to record your observation. So all of us have done that experiment in school, like germination of seed, where we soak it sprouts, then we put it in the ground, it comes out further of the ground, it starts growing. You observe and you write down like that. That is the most basic research which all of us have done in school. Now it depends on your study how you're going to observe. So if you're talking about a vaccine trial, you will have to see before, after response, after effects, any problems patients are experiencing, things like that. So observational design, statistical design, which are the statistical tools and tests you're going to use. For this, it's best you consult a statistician, because everybody is not really adept at this. Operational design of a research, how are you going to exactly implement that research? So you're going to carry out, yes, if you're going to do a survey, then in 1 month how many people are going to survey, how will you do it, that kind of a design. What are the features of research design? Basically, it is a plan which specifies your sources of data and types of information that would be relevant to your problem. So I mentioned in my video on data collection that in secondary data, a lot of data is available to us very readily at the click of a button, but we have to determine whether that is relevant to what we are studying. So what is the relevance? So if you're studying incidences of suicide among youth, then you need to probably explore things like peer pressure, bullying, the situation at home, whether it's a supportive environment or not. These things, whether they are relevant, age, all these things you would have to take those things into consideration, what is relevant. Then strategy for data collection and analysis, that's exactly how are you going to collect, how much primary data, how much secondary data, if only secondary data, then how, why, where, all this has to be determined by you. Then time and cost, very important factor in research. So you may have a very lofty ideal that you want to carry out research which is at the national level or at the global level, but whether it is achievable or not for you in terms of time and money, that you have to outline. Why do you need a research design? It is as simple as, why do you need a plan in life? You need a plan because it helps you to prepare better. It gives you a framework within which you work, and it determines boundaries. It tells you which are the boundaries you can stretch and which you cannot. Then it helps you to carry out your research in an economical and efficient manner, so without wastage. If you want to carry out your research, you should have a plan in place. It helps you to achieve your research objectives, and it facilitates the organization of your ideas. It makes it easy for you to plan, decide, and carry out things. It puts things in proper perspective for you, forces you to focus on your objective and a hypothesis, if any, and what you want to achieve at the end. Research design facilitates all this. Now, good research design is flexible. Always, it cannot be very rigid or fixed. It has to be flexible to accommodate for sudden changes. And so, if you were carrying out your research prior to the COVID crisis and you were doing personal interviews, now you have to consider doing them online. So you have to be flexible. You would have to probably use an email questionnaire vis-a-vis a personal questionnaire which is administered by you in your presence to the respondent. Then it should be appropriate to your study. Like I said, if you want to study something about the economic policy of a country, its effectiveness, you would have to rely a lot on secondary data. You cannot be working with primary data, or mainly working with primary data. A good research design is efficient. It helps you to achieve your outcome or results with minimum wastage of time, money, and effort, and it explores different aspects or facets of a problem. Of course, always keeping your objectives and hypothesis in mind, because you'll not be able to study everything related to a particular topic. Then it is related to research objectives. Always, good research design helps you to attain your objectives. It is just like that plan which helps you to achieve your goals. So without those goals or objectives, that plan is meaningless. So you need that in good research design. So I hope you found this video useful, and I'm going to cover some further aspects relating to research design in terms of types of research design in my next video.